If you want to buy a car and you can't decide between an internal combustion and an electric vehicle, let's talk about why my little brother Lars decided to get an old school petrol-fueled car.
1 year ago, Chiara taught me how to drive a car. And now, I finally have my driver's license and I bought a car. This is my Suzuki Swift Sport. When I was looking for a car, I knew I didn't want an electric one because also, these old petrol cars are much simpler and therefore much more fun and easier to repair. As I was searching on the web, I stumbled upon the Suzuki Swift and I decided to buy it because it was in my budget and I really liked the look of a hot hatch. This is a 2012 Suzuki Swift Sport. It has a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine that produces 136 horsepower. The Suzuki Swift Sport comes with a sporty body kit, dual exhausts, B-xenon headlights, 17-inch aluminium wheels and a rear diffuser.
On the inside, the Swiftie features sporty seats with red contrast stitching, a multifunctional leather-wrapped steering wheel and a clean, functional dashboard layout. Additionally, it has cruise control, Bluetooth connectivity, USB input, keyless start and automatic climate control.
Despite only having 3 doors, it has plenty of space for 4 persons. However, I would not define it as a family car. I bought the car when it had about 95,000 kilometers on the clocks, and I paid 9,000 euros for it.
4 months of ownership later, Lars has put 10,000 kilometers on the clocks. And now it is time to do a car review and find out whether this Suzuki Swift Sport is just a Mini on a budget.
Let's do a sound check.
Let's go for a drive. So let's talk about what you like and dislike about your car since you've owned it for 4 months now.
So, I think the first thing that I would say I really like about this car are the seats. The bucket seats really hold you through turns and just they're very comfortable when driving normally or also when going faster. It's just very comfortable seats.
Okay, and we are about to find out how it really feels for me as a passenger as well, because we're going to Gries, which is a little village up high in the mountains, and the road there is there's quite some windy turns, so we'll be able to test the cornering abilities of this car quite well now. Okay, I can definitely agree. I do like the seats. While I haven't driven this car myself all that often yet, I like the hold that the seats give you. They are special sport seats that you only get in the sports version of this model. If you compare this to the Mini, how does it feel throttle-wise?
I would say the Mini has much more power, also in just lower RPMs. Obviously because it has much more horsepower, and I think it has a turbo.
It does, yes.
Yeah. Which this car does not have. So you only really start to feel the throttle when you get up in like 3000 RPM. But obviously as a petrol car, when you are up there, you get the power immediately. So. But you can really feel that it just does have that much less horsepower. For example, this section just now, I was completely full throttle.
Even as a passenger, I can say that the car does feel quite planted in the corners. So in that sense, there is some resemblance to the go-kart feeling you get from the Mini. There's going to be a little space on the right side here where we can stop, and then we can swap seats, and I will be able to have a feel, have a go at this car and see how it compares to the Mini. Yeah. Yep. As a driver, from the driver's perspective, I like the view I have already. I think the steering wheel is quite a nice size, just from the get-go. And I like the clocks because they're still quite old school. I really like the look. So, let's see how it drives. The only one thing is that the shifter is a little bit squeaky. But you said from 3 to 4.
Usually, especially from 3 to 4, yeah.
Can you hear that? That's quite funny. But that's okay. It is, after all, a used car. Currently it has 102,000 kilometers. So, then, check if there's anybody there. The engine is warm, so we can already give it a little bit more power. Okay, I'm currently in second gear, going through a very sharp corner. And now I'm flat on the floor, the pedal is to the floor. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
With it doesn't have a turbo. It is absolutely lacking a turbo. But it does feel rather dynamic. Something squeaking, but that's okay.
That has been like that since I've gotten this car, so I think it's a rock or something in my back wheel. I have no idea.
The steering is not as direct as the Mini, of course, because it is not a sports car. It is still a hatchback or a hot hatch meant for, I think, the general public, where people can do everything with this car but also enjoy it on pretty little roads like these. Again, I am flat to the floor with the pedal right now, but that's, I do feel the engine working, and we are going up a very steep mountain, I should say. But I like the throttle response. I like how the clutch functions. It's very similar to the Mini, I'd say. I expected it a bit different, yeah.
Okay, because in my opinion, I've driven the Mini as well, of course, as you've seen on this channel. And the Mini's clutch is much more sporty. It pushes against you, and this one just lets go, kind of.
It's easier to drive.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's much easier to drive, which is good, I think, especially for somebody like you that has bought his first car. So as a first car, I think this is a very nice vehicle because it allows you to go quite quick as well. Again, you don't need speed to have fun in a car, but you can have it if you wish to. And it's small, so it works really well on these narrow streets. I do like it. I do quite like it. So in my opinion, from this short drive, I think it is a Mini on a budget. Because the only things it lacks is a bit more power and a turbo.
Yes.
Maybe you could add a suspension, and if the steering wheel were a bit more stiff, it would be more direct and easier to do these sporty corners, but
that's also one of the things that I have considered when buying this car. You can still customize it very well, and you can always get a new suspension or try and change the steering wheel. It's a lot of things you can still do to the car, and because it's an older car, you can do a lot of that by yourself. And that's what I also like about these older cars.
So this is a 2012, so it's the same year as my Mini Cooper S. And as you correctly say, there's just so many modifications that you can do to these cars because they've been on the market for a long time. Are there any upgrades that you have been thinking about doing or that you're planning?
And there have been a couple of things. For example, I've thought about getting wider tires. For one, because I think it looks nicer on this car. I think the tires are a bit slim. They make the car look very, very thin, which I don't really like that much. And of course you get a bit more grip by doing that. Other than that, I think getting new windshield wipers would be a very good idea, because usually when I have a dirty windshield and I try to clean it, it just smudges everything across it and it doesn't really get any cleaner. So I think getting new windshield wipers would be the next step.
Yeah. Okay.
Just things that make the daily drive nicer.
Okay. Yeah. So the normal things I guess you would expect from an older car.
Exactly.
That has a couple of not issues but things that have to be renewed and so. Very good. Well, let's go back to outside of the car.
As you can see, we have now arrived in Greece, and there is still a bit of snow left. However, that is getting to an end now. But back to the car. I've gone with a 3-door version, however, there is a 5-door option available on the market. Another thing that I would like to talk about are the missing park sensors. If you are new to driving, that can become a bit of an issue, since you just simply do not have any idea of where your car is and how close you are to things. But that can also be an advantage, because you really have to learn how wide and how big your car is, and you really learn to feel sort of where your car is and how much space you have left. All in all, I would say that this is the perfect car for somebody new to driving. The clutch is very forgiving and it's extremely fun to drive.
In my opinion, the Suzuki Swift Sport is an ideal car for anybody who is looking for a small and sporty car that is on a budget. The only thing I would modify if I owned a Suzuki Swift Sport is that I would probably upgrade the suspension. Then you would have that amazing go-karty feeling when cornering. But that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.